You've reached the HubSpot helpline. Helpline.
It's Rob, it's George, it's Casey, and Kyle. Come with a problem and leave with a smile. Every Friday at 3, come and join us as we help you with HubSpot. Open up your LinkedIn, just make sure you call in and leave a voicemail about HubSpot. Make your Friday divine with the HubSpot helpline.
What's up, everybody? I am joined and humbled to be in the presence of some absolute legends, admin of the year, admin of the decade, admin of the century candidates. We've got Chris Carrollin, Mr. Profoundly Pro 4000, who's done 8 million live shows this year. He's cranking them out. I'm also joined by Casey, Greyhound of the Helpline Hawkins, who apparently we have a live audience in her kitchen area watching this. That's the rise of popularity of this show has been absolutely meteoric.
Not just the dogs this week.
Not just human audience.
Human audience this week.
And animals too. But I'm also joined by George. B stands for whatever you want it to be. B Thomas, the man with the humans. Ability there, the voice mod. He's a legend. And then last but certainly not least, a man who just rejoined last week, Kyle Jepson. He now has, I think Carolyn said, the starting 5 basketball team. Congrats once again, being a dad again. Your kids are lovely. And you, my good friend, have been going over your inbound prep for inbound and your sessions that we were able to help you figure out last week with George B. Talk about action sets. It's a great place to start. It's almost speechless after that. Okay. That's what I do with these intros is make them so long-winded that people forget that we're even on.
And that's our show. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. See you next week.
That was a great show. Yeah, but I think we should start anywhere that Chris Carrollin, the producer of the show, wants to. There's been a lot of packing, a lot of getting ready, a lot of last-minute prep, a lot of finalizing notes and talks, and I am just here rambling. So, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask some pertinent questions about what it is we should help the people with today as they prepare, make the final preparations for next week in San Francisco for Inbound 25.
Well, I think we've highlighted 2 things we'd love to help people with today, and that's the group of people who, by no choice of their own, will be suffering from major FOMO next week because either they can't go or they can't go, but some just because it's in a different part of the world this year. So usually they would be there, especially a bunch of HubSpot natives in Boston. So I think we could give them some advice on who to follow and what kind of content to look for. But then the other group is we're in a new place. Maybe how to accept the overwhelm instead of try to prevent it. So those who are going for the first time, but those who have been there every year and it's in a new place, how to keep your bearings and not let it get the best of you.
Yes, I've never been to San Francisco before. I've been to Inbound 4 times. So this will be fourth. This will be my 22, 23, 24. This will be my 4th inbound, and I've never been to the city. My advice to myself is travel with a pack. I tend to get lost very easily and get winded easily, which I've heard isn't a good combination because San Francisco is very hilly. I'm going to need some Dr. Scholl's. Immediately, it's on my packing list. We'll be getting those. But yeah, for the other, you mentioned people that either can't go for whatever reason or that are familiar with Boston and that's the only place, or people that can't go, how to tune in, how to be involved, how to be engaged with anything that's going on there.
Yeah, I'd love to hit the how to tune in thing. The HubSpot keynote on Wednesday will be live streamed to YouTube and LinkedIn and X. And so definitely tune in. That's where the big product announcements are. That's where Yamini always gives some strategic advice. Definitely worth watching. And then they're recording kind of a lot of sessions this year. There's a blog post on the Inbound website with a list of their schedule for when those recordings will hit their YouTube channel. So follow the Inbound YouTube channel. I checked, my sessions are being recorded. They're going to hit YouTube sometime in October. So it's going to be a long rolling journey. But there's a lot of resources there, whether you're going or not, rewatching those recordings, sharing them. I think there's going to be a lot of value there.
Yeah, I definitely think that I'll chime in here too, because I love the idea of their YouTube channel of HubSpot. But I would also say, like, if you're not ready to like do the hashtag thing on LinkedIn or the hashtag thing on X, like there's going to be bite-sized snippets. There's going to be full-blown, pieces of information.
Interviews.
Interviews. Literally in the green room before we started this, I asked Chris, hey, can we get the 2 shows that I'm doing in the evening on a channel? So Chris, you can talk about that in a minute of like an actual channel that they might go in, but at least make sure you're checking out the hashtag Inbound 25, on all your favorite social platforms. Cause I mean, the correspondence and the amount of interviews that are going to be happening and people are going to be putting online. Cause Chris and I and some other folks were literally, Rob, I think you might've been on there too, actually. Casey, you might've been on there too, actually.
We are all inbound correspondents.
Yeah. George, you might know a couple of them.
Yeah.
You might know some.
The amount of correspondence and the amount of interviews that were kind of like doled out to us, like for instance, I'll just give you like Kip Bodner is one of the people that I'm meeting up with to actually do like a quick interview with, and like a couple other folks as well. Actually, I think it's Dylan. So yes, thank you, Kyle. Dylan, I'm meeting up with him as well to do. So just like there's going to be a massive amount of just FOMO focused content for you to get access to, even though you can't be there.
For anyone who's watching who's not an inbound consultant, don't feel bad. I'm also not an inbound consultant. Maybe someday.
Maybe. I have never.
Inbound correspondent. I just put the hashtag is scrolling along the bottom. If you follow that on any social, I guarantee you will find a ton of valuable content. We've got like 50 or 60 inbound correspondents.
Yep.
And the other thing George mentioned, we'll be trying to stream as much as possible. The morning show, late show, most of my streams will try to come from the Profoundly page just to make it easier for people to follow along.
Yep.
Yeah, Casey, you had some. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first inbound, so I would call myself the expert on following from afar. The most qualified at how to follow from afar. And following those hashtags. There are a ton of inbound correspondence, to everyone's point. So follow the ones that speak to you. If you're watching, that might be one of us. But just, whoever's voices and point of views kind of are engaging to you, and that's different for everyone. So you can always find someone who has a unique point of view or I guess a similar one to you, and what they're doing as well. Just keep following.
We should have let Casey go first, because I'm actually sitting here like counting, going, well, this will be my 14th year.
Yeah.
I really never actually watched it from afar. I probably know of what I'm talking about. But
okay, I've never been, so I don't really know what I'm talking about when I say this, but you can still be involved and not be there. I think that's important. And I think a lot of people feel the FOMO. I certainly, for years, have felt FOMO not being there. But there are enough people sharing content. There's enough places that you can follow along that you can keep up with what's coming out of inbound, even from your basement.
And I'm not going to push back on this, but as somebody that's probably the second most junior, Kyle, George, Chris have been around. Casey, you've been in the HubSpot ecosystem for probably the same, if not as much time as me. I just happened to be at inbound a couple more times. But you said find the people with point of views. Well, look, I'm definitely not bragging, and you'll let me get to the point. You said find people whose voice, tone, point of view, like their subject, whatever they're reporting on as an inbound correspondent resonates with you. I would say pay attention to all of it, because a lot of the even finding some of you, George, like I had no idea from either a LinkedIn perspective or whatnot, and just kind of heard from people. So you were not on my radar 2 or 3 years ago. We met, hung out at after party, been following you since then. But it's like speaking to a more broad and general audience, absorb as much as you can if possible, and then kind of narrow down, because there will be a ton of new stuff. There'll be a ton of new. I used to end every video with, have you seen HubSpot lately? If not, check it out. So you might be like the rest of us and be the biggest George B. Thomas and Kyle Jepsen fans in the universe, and miss out on the great perspective that Chris and Casey have to share and what they're talking about. So I would just add that along to what you said as well.
I would say too, whether you're going or not, there will be a long tail of content, weeks and weeks afterward, trying to recap everything that happened. So I find when I'm at Inbound, I'm not super great at keeping up with everything everybody's posting because I'm at Inbound. But for weeks afterward, there's plenty to tell me all the things I missed, even though I was there. So,
yeah. There may even, here's the thing too, is pay attention. I'm going to piggyback on what Kyle said. Pay attention to like post Inbound, because you'll also probably find that there's pockets of content that you didn't know would be there. For instance, I'll let the cat out the bag. I'm recording my entire Inbound session, not at Inbound because I can't, but before I get to Inbound. So like my presentation deck, what I'm going to say is literally going to live on the internets. And once I'm done with Inbound or do my first talk, I will release to the world, hey, if you couldn't be here and you want to see my session, here's where you go see my session. So there's other folks that might be doing stuff like that, where you can actually get like the goods, if you will, just independently from where those speakers are broadcasting them post the event.
And I've been paying attention to you on this show. And so much like Dave Matthews or Grateful Dead or whatnot, according to you, what you're going to say live and what the recording, there will be some differences. So I'll plug George B here and say, watch both whenever they come out, because he's mentioned that his talk can change up until he goes onto the stage. So yeah, watch both there. I'll ask this really quick.
Yeah.
Trying to back up. For those of us, Kyle just said like it's hard for him to keep up while he's there. For other people who are here still working, it might be hard for them to absorb video content, or it might not be out yet. Is there a more cliff notes or written or documented versions of some of the important updates that are not specifically not video content that people have to wait for? Where can they find that? Is there a place where they can find a written or a documented version of the Inbound goodness?
This is a thing I should know, but because I've been on leave, I don't really know. Often HubSpot will have like HubSpot.com/new. And it'll be basically like it will go live as the keynote is happening. And it'll be like a highlights reel of, here are the features we announced. Here are any like new frameworks we announced. Here's kind of a cliff notes of a lot of things. It's usually not exhaustive. It's usually like top 5. But it's pretty instantaneous, and it's a good place to start. I don't know. I haven't heard for sure that we're doing this that year. Doing that this year, but we have done it, I think, every year previous. So it's a promising pattern.
The other thing I'll say too is if you don't work at an agency, or if you do, find maybe one of your favorite agencies that is a content engine, because they will write articles and launch articles. Supered.
Yeah, they guaranteed already have them written and scheduled to publish. It's going to be a flurry.
Already been invited to some recap shows.
Yeah. Any of HubSpot's top partners will have blog posts and social posts and videos and webinars and all kinds of stuff happening.
Yeah. And so here's something I want to say that I'm curious this year, because we didn't have this year's previously. And I'm going to test this, by the way, while I'm at Inbound. I'm going to ask ChatGPT for like updated information around Inbound or HubSpot to see like what it's actually able to pull from the internet and deliver to me in like these micro pieces of content. Like imagine a nightly recap, but you're literally getting, agent or deep research to please go out and look for the articles in the last 24 hours around Inbound and and deliver me like XYZ, I'm going to try that this year because we haven't had that way of getting these like micro nuggets of information historically.
That's wild.
That's a great idea.
Great
So
use.
is the thought there just to do it like maybe tonight to start, like get a baseline of what that initial report would look like and then do it every day until next Friday? I mean, is that kind of the...
I'll probably wait until like things kick
Wednesday.
off. So like Wednesday night, right? I'll probably have a prompt ready and try it and see what happens. If it works, it'll be on my website, sidekickstrategies.com. If it doesn't, I never had this conversation. These are not the droids you're looking for. Like,
Chris, clip this later. Clip this.
Yeah. But if
Honestly,
it does work, I'll do every night, right? And I'll post it as a thing because my GPT, it already talks like me. It acts like me. And so if I can get it to do the right research and give like a day at inbound, and it's like 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 words, I'll publish it. And whoever's not there, boom, there you go.
And what a great resource to have next year for a point of comparison. Was like, wow, ChatGPT 5 was lame. It could
right. What was
do anything?
I recently
it couldn't
asked-
beam this directly into my memory in my brain. Like that's so sad. Why did we think this was cool?
I recently asked Perplexity, Claude, and GPT to do deep research on what HubSpot can do. And it was 3 very different, like deep research answers. So if anything, like people just, it's helpful to learn about what's available and how it's being processed. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, it's not like any other humans that are around me that might give me 3 different answers about what HubSpot can do. But I love that idea, George. I wonder if I could ask on that note, not that we're moving forward too far, but as advice for me, probably, because last year, I think Nico and I got together on Sunday after and did like a 2.5-hour stream to recap. Any thoughts on what good recap content looks like?
I mean, I will tell you that I'm already scheduled to do a recap webinar with an organization that helps solopreneurs. And what we're doing is we're just going to pick 2 each of the top sessions that we go to then recap those specific sessions. So one direction you could go is like, here's the top 5, you know, maybe you have like 3 or 4 people on the show or whatever. Well, here's the top 4 or top 5, you know, sessions we want to recap. Other than that, you might do like a timeline version of like, okay, so this happened and that happened, and this is what we learned in that moment. Almost like a timeline / behind the scenes type thing, but like post actually when the scenes were happening. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? But that's 2 things that come to mind as far as what that might look like. I mean, listen, you just pulled off like a massive value first session. Like imagine doing a recap and it's like 10 people for like 30 minutes each recapping their inbound, like favorite 3 things. You have a day's worth of content, and like people who weren't there, probably like a metric butt ton of value that they would be getting from all those lessons learned from like 10 humans.
I'm notoriously bad at this. That's why people follow me around and force me to do skits and videos and interview people. But you can't recap knowledge if you don't capture it. So as burdensome as it is, bring out a camera, a phone, bring out a voice recorder. Listening to the 10K pitch that we were doing yesterday, Ask Elephant has some really, not to directly plug them, but they're great. That kind of stuff to be able to record and capture your thoughts or what is actually happening is the only way you're going to have any kind of content to recap later. And so the creativity is how you choose maybe to present that or piece it together or what you find the most valuable from the day. But like my advice to everyone and myself is take pictures or record video or record notes or your voice audio, any of that as much as you can, because you will forget. Like only been 3 times, but there is such an explosion of information and there are so many new people that you have conversations with and connect with that you can make it to the end of day 1 and unfortunately not remember much of what happened. I think that's just called being a human.
Can I double down on this? Can I double down on this? Okay. So 1, go to your phone and download Voice Recorder. voice recorder. 2, sit by a speaker in every session that you go to. And I don't mean the person on the stage. I mean the thing where audio comes out to the people so that you can get a good recording. 3, record it, because voice recorder also lets you then transcribe it, which then you can actually copy and paste it from voice recorder into your chat GPT. Step 4, create an inbound 25 project. And for everything that you're copying, you're going to paste it into that inbound project, and you're going to run the transcript, and you're going to give it a prompt like, hey, please pull out all of the major things that I need to know out of this talk. Give me 3 action items, give me 3 reflective questions, get whatever, build the prompt. And so now every session you go to, you have a recording, a transcript, and a chat GPT or Claude project that you actually can then go back and you can ask all of the inbound project, any questions that you want to ask on any of the sessions that you now have put into the project. Like here, I'm going to tell you, like last year I blew people's mind because in my session, the day before I got to hear Andy Petrie do the whole, like, here's what we're launching. And I recorded it and I transcribed it. And last year I sent it over to my content strategist. And the next day we had an article on our website. As soon as he left the stage for the real version for everybody, there was an article there. I was just in an event last week, Thursday. Yes, last week, Thursday, that I sat in this event. There was 5 major sessions. I got to hear people like Les Brown, Damon Johns, Mick Hunt, a couple folks, but I recorded every session and I created an article for each session. And I was able to send 5 articles to Mick, who was like the leader of this Lead Loud conference. I was able to send him 5 articles before I even got in my car and drove home from the event. I'm telling you, voice recorder, transcribe into your AI assistant to then be able to use it later is just the way to go.
I'd like to remember this moment in history because not only did George agree with me, he doubled down and then explained in absolute step-by-step detail how to do that with success. So I'm on to something here in the recording. Yes, capture content. That way you can recap it.
Yep.
I'm also hearing, don't try to catch them all.
No,
Pick your
It's not
favorites.
possible.
Pick your favorites.
Inbound has so many different tracks and things. Like, it would be hard to even be a part of a network that heard every single talk.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel like the right mix is? And I'm guessing it's going to be, it depends, but between networking and attending sessions?
That's a great question.
Don't ask me that.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have different answers almost from everybody because
I
I'll
thought
go
you
first.
would say it depends.
Well, since I'm already talking, like there is a very real mixture of trying to extract value in increments when you're there as a vendor or working a booth. It's not the same. Like, you do not have the liberty to go to as many sessions as you want. And that can feel weird, but it is kind of work, and you're there to, get leads, have demos, have conversations, showcase value, extract value from other people. Like that, it's a different mindset when you're going as a vendor and trying to contribute versus going as an attendee or somebody that's there more specifically to learn and connect than it is. So for me, the balance is like, funny story to interrupt myself, 2022, Kyle Jepsen or Kyle Jensen or somebody they were like, yeah, go see this guy's session. It's great. And I got so lost trying to figure out where the heck you actually were that I missed the whole thing. I think we ended up running into each other later at the party, but like, have a map. Inbound app has a map on it. Use it. I'm sure that, you've registered, but the Moscone Center is gigantic.
And I will say, as a person who has never been to the Moscone Center, my understanding is it's multiple buildings and we're not in all of them.
3, and we're in 2.
Yeah. So there's one building of the Moscone Center that inbound is not even happening in, right? And I guarantee you I'm going to find my way into that building at some point and wonder where everybody is.
That's where I ended up in 2022. I was like, they were like, you're at the Omni. And I was like, oh crap. Well, Kyle Jensen's not here, is he? And they're like, Kyle Jepsen is on stage over there. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Thank you ahead of time.
Dropped.
Thank you ahead of time to the inbound team members that are going to be stationed in front of that building.
Do not come in.
Yes.
Sacrificing
You don't
yourself.
belong here.
While we're on the shout out, I'm going to give a very large, loud public shout out to Gabby Herrera for as an inbound correspondent. Their team has done a phenomenal job of making people like me have some clue of what's happening by providing information and context, by putting a map in, all of that. Like, I am scared to ask directions. It's genetic, I guess, but whatever. Like, they've taken care of so much that I can just show up and be there instead of having to figure things out along the way. And they've made the accessibility, I mean, I don't want to say tenfold from what it was a year or two ago, because that seems like it wasn't already good, but it's just improved so much. So Gabby, shout out. You deserve it. Your whole team does.
Yeah.
There you go.
So what you said, map in there, let's get specific, because specificity wins the day. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, the Inbound app, download the Inbound app, because you are going to want to use those maps. The other thing I'll say is, I didn't know this, but Chad Hahn from the Hub Heroes podcast let us know that there is a tunnel that goes underneath from one to the other. So like, if you don't want to have to cross the street, there's that. And I learned on a correspondent thing, or maybe it was an inbound speaker thing, I don't remember which one. I've been on both. There's also like a sky bridge that you can go over as well. So like, I would tell you, like, maybe just spend a little bit of time, like pre the first day, if you get there early, of just mapping it out a little bit in your brain and kind of figuring out those things.
So George says, if you get run over by a car, it's your own dumb fault. You should have taken the sky bridge or the tunnel.
I guess maybe those words equal that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is that could happen to me. If anybody on this call, we're going to get run over, two of you at least are on stage. It's going to be me. So hopefully I don't have to call Pound Law or whatever, Morgan & Morgan, while I'm in San Francisco. There was something else that you talked about that's more of back to Casey's question, and I didn't let anybody else answer it, but like, how do you balance that sessions versus connection versus whatever? I'm going to let you re-ask the question, because I kind of derailed us into some other stuff. But for you, like, let's say this is your first inbound, and I'm sure you've signed up for as many sessions as possible just to have things to be on the radar. But what would you guys tell Casey or anybody else whose first inbound it is for balancing all that?
Yeah. So one, that's not the question that I thought you were gonna ask, which is interesting, because I thought you were gonna ask, like, how should I figure out what I want to learn about, as far as like what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and what would push me to the next level. So maybe, Rob, we talk about that later in the show. But to answer your question, Casey, I'm going to give you a real simple thing that I do, and that's I use my gut. If I'm in a moment where I feel like the value that I'm giving or the value that I'm getting from the human in the hall, I will not move and go to the session that I thought I wanted to sign up for 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months previous. So there has to be this kind of level of be in the moment, even though you're scheduling moments ahead of time. Okay. Now, the other side of this is realize there also is a plethora of networking opportunities before the sessions, and for sure after the sessions, as long as you're careful about how many of them there beverages you have on the after side. Because at one point it becomes networking, and a couple drinks later, it is no longer networking. Just know that it is something else entirely. But my thing to you is use your gut, and don't be afraid to pivot if you feel like you're getting more or giving more value than where you perceive or think you might get from a session.
I think what I'm about to say is the same thing, just said in another way, which is some sessions have to be registered for ahead of time. Some of them fill up. So definitely build out your schedule as your plan A. Here are the sessions I hope to get to, right? And that might be a mix of like learning sessions, and also there's this brain dates thing, right? That's interesting. That's a very structured approach to networking. But I would say, if as you're rushing off from one session to another, you run into somebody you only ever knew on LinkedIn before, and now you're meeting them in real life or whatever, or if you see Casey or Rob or George or me, like, take the opportunity to stop and say hello, right? Yeah. Because that is not, some of these sessions you're going to be able to watch on demand afterward. Having a real life in-person conversation with someone is not something you're going to be able to do afterward. And as we're such a a remote and diverse and global group, we've got to cherish those opportunities as they come up. So I would say schedule yourself full, have it all in there, but then have that just be your plan A, and be open, like George was saying, to serendipity, to whatever happens in the magic of inbound, right? And if you get caught up in a really good conversation with someone, please don't say the words, "Oh, I got to get to this session. Here's my card," right? Just keep talking, keep connecting with that human, as long as, like George said, the value is there.
And here's the other thing. I want to throw this out, and Kyle, you can tell me if you feel the same way. If you're going to be there and you see us in the hall, by all that is holy, will you please, let's like come up and have a conversation? Like, do not be the like, "Oh, there's Kyle Jepson," and just keep walking. Or, "Oh, there's George B. Thomas." Like, don't do that. Like, get a fist bump, get a high five, get a hug, whatever is your flavor, and like actually have a conversation. Because listen, I stand in these four walls of this little room in my house, 360 some days a year. And when I'm at inbound, I want to have interactions. I want people who are watching the customer platform podcast or Hub Heroes or any of our videos. I want them to like feel like they can come up and engage, at least with me. And so please be that person that's like, "All right, let me go say hi. Let me have an actual let me have a conversation." Like, please.
And there will be a HubSpot Academy space, right? So if you have watched videos on HubSpot Academy and one of those professors, you really like their content, let them know. Because I can tell you, as someone who did that job for a long time, you record videos and you publish them and you don't know what the impact is. You can see a chart that tells you how many views it got, but the magic at inbound of even just one person coming up and saying, "Hey, you did that course. I really liked it. It really helped me with my job," or whatever your story is. It just makes their whole life. And so look out for people who work in this. The HubSpot ecosystem is rich and full of people who are producing content all the time. And most of us have really no idea if we're really making a difference in anyone's life. Even those of us who do fairly interactive things can see the chat here. "Hey, Lyndon. Hi. I'm excited you're going to be there. Sorry, distracted." I really think that it means it's never an imposition. It always means so much when you tell a content creator that you like their content. So absolutely make space for that. Not just as you're walking around the hallways, but go to the HubSpot Academy space. Come find, Max Cohen at the Happily station, or Rob at the Supered station, or wherever these people are. And let them know they've been a positive influence on your life or your career.
Yeah, one of my favorite all-time inbound memories, by the way, and this was back when Mark Killens was still
Nice.
heading
That's the next topic, by the way.
Yeah,
But continue.
When Mark Killens was heading up the HubSpot Academy, I made it a point to go to the HubSpot Academy area, and we gathered all of the professors that were there at that moment in time, just so I could tell them how impactful what they do on a daily basis is, and how I've been able to become who I am and live the life that I have based on the education that they get. There were some tears, and like, it was a very emotional moment, but you could just tell like the words coming out of my mouth was making a greater impact with future fuel for the next things that they would create, because it was a real human with a real story of like, "Hey, this is how you are making my life better. And I'm just here to say, I appreciate you." And so do that for somebody as you're walking around the halls. If there's somebody you've been following them and they've made an impact in your life, just let them know, because that is fuel to the future fire, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I do. Oh my God. Okay. I do the Sprocketeer Power Hour every Friday too, where just like some people get together and chat. And one thing we were kind of talking about is how inbounds this like opportunity for this niche network to come together. Like I was telling them about when you joined the morning show, and I'm trying to explain this to my husband why like I'm so excited that you're joining the morning show, and he has no idea what I'm talking about. and and it's just kind of cool to, you know, have a chance to meet these people that like I've spent years following and learning from and everything like that. And other people think it's cool too.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
Yep.
Rob and I have talked about this before, but basically, if somebody is walking around inbound, they are giving you open permission to come and say hello. Like, there's no boundaries. Like that, it doesn't matter who they are. Even if you were to catch Yamini, like walking around, I know that she would love for you to say hello, right? And that's if like it's different. That's what makes this. I've never been in another place like where that's you can feel like, and this is from the first year, like because I can be pretty introverted, especially when put in these situations with a bunch of people. And what you don't want to do is have some regret because you didn't say hi. I literally walked right by Devin Bellamy, like, and could not muster the courage to say hello because that's really hard for me to say hello to a complete stranger that's not expecting it.
Yeah,
right?
you would have got a big
part of that is they are expecting it, right? So don't even worry about that part. But then next year, when it was about to happen, when it was happening again, right before Ryan Reynolds talk, I was like, all right, not again. I'm gonna go up, say hello. He asked to do like a video with me so he could show it to his kids about like the good things I was saying about the impact he had. So like even like they find ways like this community find ways to like just, oh yeah, we're all human. Like it doesn't matter who we are everywhere else. We're gonna be human in this moment.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Chris, I need you to do me a favor before you leave for inbound this year, because this will be year 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need you to go to the store. Maybe after this, just drive down the store. I need you to get one of those clicker counters. Okay. Because I'm telling you, brother, the amount of people that you won't have to worry about saying hi to, but will be trying to say hi to you after all the content you've been creating for the last couple of years. So I want you to get a counter.
There's a free app.
Do they sell that at the store?
Yeah, not at my local grocery store, but there is a free app. Honestly, Chris, I feel you. I consider myself a pretty introverted person. I like Saturday after inbound every year. I like don't leave bed, right? I can't. But I don't mean that to discourage anyone from coming up and saying hello to me. And I found like a couple of inbounds ago, I came back and I was just so exhausted, and I was like, my wife was like, "Why are you so tired?" I was like, "You would not believe how many people said hello to me." And she's like, "Well, how many?" And I was like, I don't even know how to quantify it, right? And so like last year, I installed a little app on my phone, and as people said hello to me, I just tapped it, and I could quantify it. I could come home and tell my wife, "You wouldn't believe today it was this number." I don't remember what the numbers are, and like it helped me manage it better. Inbound no longer wears me out. It is a thrill to meet every person who wants to talk to me and to start to understand the impact I'm having and to see opportunities how I could increase my impact, right? So you don't have to buy a clicker counter, Chris. They're perfectly
No, you do, Chris. We need to see the clicks.
Yeah. I tried to get my friend Camille last year, our live audience, to make an autograph book for me. And I put a bunch of names in the book and was trying to get her to autograph those.
Nice.
I'll say that this is a longer story. In the interest of time, I'll shorten it and give kind of a synopsis. But this is potentially cringe, and it is 100% true. Inbound significantly changed my entire life. That is not a joke or an exaggeration. 8 years ago, I was a firefighter. In 2020, so 5 years ago, I was at a telecom company. 2021, I started at RP. Did not even know what HubSpot was. I failed the interview twice, got on as like part-time, worked my way up. I'm decently smart. So 8 months after starting, I went to inbound for the first time. Matt Bolian said, because of COVID, RP is an elite partner and we've never been, blah, blah, blah. We want to make a statement. Because of who I am, I was like, well, I'm just going to wear an orange suit. And I did.
Yeah.
And the security guard check-in person said, who are you supposed to be? And just instinctively, I said, I'm the mayor of inbound. Didn't they tell you I was coming? Boston Globe interviewed me. Vice Media did an interview. I was featured. Like all of that stuff happened. I actually met and talked to Kyle so I've had some like incredible stuff happen through that. But 2022, 2023, 2024, I was in the Partner Advisory Council sitting right next to Yamini. Last year, Dharmesh came up, saw me. He was walking out, saw me, waved, and came up and talked to me about some of the video content that I'd made. And that is from 8 years ago, putting out house fires and doing EMT calls. So that can happen. The thing you need to do is like be available, be there, and to everybody's point, not be afraid to be yourself and say hello and like put yourself out there in some small way. Because the crazy thing is I was supposed to like, hey, go that Kyle Jepson guy that you called his name wrong. See if you can talk to him at our after party, right? That was like an assignment that I had. And I find myself now doing an interview a show weekly with two of the people that I was charged with like finding information out about. It's mind boggling the amount of impact financially, like career wise, that a silly little conference has had on mine and my family's life. Legitimately.
And I don't know what it is exactly about HubSpot that generates such a friendly ecosystem of partners and customers, but everyone at Inbound is really nice. Yeah. Like you will go through airports on your way to Inbound where you will meet people who are grumpy, people who do not like their job, people who do not want to be where they are right now, right? And you will sit on airplanes where like you are crowded and you are unhappy, and you will get to Moscone Center and it will have the same number of people crowded into the same amount of space, and it will just exude warmth and joy. Everyone is so happy to be there. Everyone is so happy to see you. Everyone wants to meet you. Whether it's your first time or your 14th time, like honestly, seriously, as you're waiting in the security line, just like turn around to the person behind you and be like, hey, where are you from? What brings you here? And you will make a new friend, and you can boop your badges after you get them, and you can talk on the internet afterward. It'll be great.
Yeah. It's the culture. Because by the way, that's the thing that reeled me in 2012 was like, man, these are really helpful, like humans, and they're cool. And like, and that ecosystem has amazingly been able to stay very close to kind of the original ecosystem, even with the massive amount of growth that it's had. And there's just something about that dang orange Kool-Aid or that dog food that people keep eating. It's crazy.
There are, and this is not intended to be diminishing at all, more of like an uplifting communal thing. So hopefully it's taken that way. But there's only one George B. Thomas, but there are hundreds of George B. Thomas like people. There's one Kyle Jepson, but there are hundreds of. George said in a hallway, he makes decisions based on like what kind of value is being given and taken in that moment. I've experienced that from people on this call, and I've experienced it from dozens of other people the same way, where I know they have to go to a session, and I mean to be like, all right, I know you got to go, and they still want to have conversations and talk and figure out ways in which they can help me. So although there is only one, the one and only George B. Thomas, there are tons of people with the same mindset of they would seek first to help and give value rather than to be on a schedule or extract value. And it's very selfless in that way. And so the only thing left to do is like action cures cowardice. So I am also very introverted, in which you would not think by some of, if you've seen any of the content I do, but I have very much of the same Kyle effect of I'm destroyed after Inbound. That period, next sentence, I love going up to new people and meeting them. People have now crazily started coming up. Hey, I saw this video. Hey, I did this. Hey, because of the affiliation with A, B, and C people, we want to talk. Like there's also, not to cheapen it, but there's like financial value that can come from just like going and talking to people at all. So this is less of a HubSpot, more of like a communal and behavioral psychology or social type of advice piece. But you never get to have those opportunities or make those connections if you don't like wave or shake a hand or go put yourself in front of those people.
Yeah.
Except if you try to give Chris Carolyn a hug when he hasn't really met you in real life and he's in the middle of a conversation with somebody else. That was a mistake on my part.
Whoopsie.
That was a good memory. I think Chris muted himself. Yeah.
All I remember is I almost did the same thing to you that I did to Devin the first time, where I like walked by you, and then I was like, "No, let me go." And I'm like, "Rob, hey man, good to see you. Sorry we didn't talk. We're doing content starting next week. Cool. All right, cool."
And legitimately, we've been doing it since the beginning of this year. There's an accountability part that happened. I know we have 9 minutes and a hard stop. So some final thoughts. I just shared my kind of inbound journey and the way that it's, whether it's LinkedIn cringe or not, it's legitimately, I can prove in several different ways how it's changed my life. George shared, Chris, Kyle, even Casey, as like, I would hope you answer is like, what would you hope your inbound memory is from this year, or what would you, like, hearing the other four, I'll let you go last. Like, does this help equip you in any way to make that like first substantial inbound memory? Chris, what about you? What's a cool moment or a favorite inbound memory that you've got?
I mean, it was so cool last year, just having people walk up to me, like saying that they've seen my content. Right. There's nothing like it. And that's what I was going to give Casey the advice. Same question I asked George. I was like, dude, what do I do when people that I've never met before, like, act like they know me? Yeah. And it was like, that's why I've kept going. It's like, you can get buried in the metrics and what am I supposed to be doing each day? But then when you hear that in person, like, there's nothing like it. And I would anticipate, like, and guarantee for Casey that is about to happen to her as well.
100%.
So, yeah.
If you're watching this, I'm so awkward. I'm so sorry.
Right.
See, I'll give you some advice I gave to Chris. Get real good at glancing at name tags and looking back up real quick. And all you got to do is grab the first name. Just call him Bob, call him Susan.
Can I, this is not an inbound story, but this has really had a big impact on me. I don't know how many of you on here or people watching know Clayton Christensen, the Innovator's Dilemma, theory of disruption guy. He's a longtime Boston person. I go to church with his son. So I knew him personally before he passed away. And the first time I met him, I was like awestruck, because here is like the most important business thinker in the world, legitimately. And he's like 6'9" or 6'10". He's like this giant of a man. And I walk up to him. I'm just like, hi, and clearly, of course, naturally, he's experienced that a million times before. And he knows why I'm coming up to say hello, right? He's like, here's another person who is intimidated by me and just wants to say hello, because his first words to me were, "Hi, my name's Clayton." Right. And like, that has always stuck with me. And so, yeah, I mean, we're all wearing name badges, and by all means, get good at glancing at them if you could do that without looking like a weirdo. But like, it is okay to introduce yourself. It is okay to not know who someone is. I am perpetually lousy at recognizing people in real life that I know very well on LinkedIn, because their profile picture is only like this big, right? And my brain filled in those gaps absolutely incorrectly. And they'll be like, "I'm so-and-so." I'll be like, "No, so-and-so looks much more like Mickey Mouse, actually." And so, like, I think it is okay to start from a very basic level, even with people you've known for a long time, or you're meeting someone for the first time. Just get really good at saying, "Hi, my name is," and say your name really clearly, and they will reciprocate. And that is,
I was laughing at that, George, too, but I also thought how incredibly funny it would be if Chris shaved the beard and nobody knew who he was.
Nobody would have any idea, right?
Nobody would have a clue.
That was the first trick I understood, because I've always been bad at going up if I don't know you. As soon as the beard started happening, that was the icebreaker that I had been missing. Somebody will always talk about the beard. So the people that show up in, they've got the fairy wings on, like Sarah, like, you do you in whichever way you want.
Maybe it's a suit.
Oftentimes that's enough to start the conversations.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just say, as long as it's genuine. And genuinely, I did not want to talk about HubSpot to distract from the fact that everybody there was smarter and knew more about it than I did. So I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to wear a suit and make the conversation about that. And man, did it work in kind of reverse. Kyle, shout out to you specifically, because I think it was after 2023 when I got your phone number and we called and chatted and you gave me some really, really good advice. I don't know how well I've followed it, but it has stuck with me and been impactful. I'll leave what you said to me. But again, this is somebody that I was like watching videos of how to use the product in trainings and onboarding for a year. And 2 years later, maybe less than that, I'm talking on the phone to this guy who I respect, who's one of the best human beings, like genuinely kind, also had the same vibe of feel kind of awkward here, talk, like doing this and giving me like personal brand and like positioning advice and sharing some of his, how that had impacted him. So it's not all going to happen next week, but if it's your first time going, or if it's your second time, or if you want to get more out of it, like put a little more effort into it. And that might just be showing up and saying hello to 1 or 2 more people than you normally would, or, making a little bit, 1% more effort than you normally would. And the results, as somebody that has experienced them and can testify to them, have been pretty insane. Even I would consider myself kind of an outsider in a way, not now, but, looking at the journey of the 3 inbounds and then this one, it's definitely been transformative. George, what do you have?
The word that comes to mind is persistence. Like you just have to get in the vehicle of being able to be real consistent with the things that you're providing to the world. And then all of a sudden it starts to shape into some of the stories that we've heard, that we've talked about today.
Yeah.
You ready,
Casey? Yeah, you're up.
I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting like you guys. I have all these internet. I mean, that's like truly. I have all these internet friends that I've never met. They're all floating heads in my mind. But yeah, I am truly like just really excited to like meet my friends. That's it.
That's a great place to start. I mean, legitimately that's kind of how it started for me. And Chris and George and Kyle kind of referenced this, is like they knew only of the profile pic or the avatar. But I can promise you, if that's all you know, that's not enough. Like there's so much more to everybody on this call that I've gotten to know with this show and with other stuff, and by following you around and meeting in person. And it's almost, I would go as far as to say it's almost a disservice not to make an effort and to find out a little bit more than just what the avatar is or what they post about. Like that's not a representation truly of who the people are. And 99 times out of 100 I've experienced, it's worth it. There's a lot more to those connections than just as Kyle said, a tiny little pic that my brain has filled the rest of incorrectly.
Yeah. It's funny. I know we got to close this out, but I want to double down against, real mayor of Inbound, Rob, something that you're talking about here. If you think that you get value out of my videos, wait till we sit down at a table together and I have context to who you are as a human.
I don't know if there's anything else we can or should say after that. Thank you, George. Kyle, thank you. Chris, thank you. Casey, get ready for your first inbound, and we will see you in San Francisco in 3 days. Bring on Inbound 25, guys.
Hello, you've reached the HubSpot helpline. Helpline.
It's Rob, it's George, it's Casey, and Kyle. Come with a problem and leave with a smile. Every Friday at 3, come and join us as we help you with HubSpot. Open up your LinkedIn, just make sure you call in and leave a voicemail about HubSpot. Make your Friday divine with the HubSpot helpline.